Hello, dear pupils. I'm very glad to welcome all of you in the House of Knowledge. It's our first lesson and experience in such way of teaching and studying. My name is Катекаев Кусинжан Меджидович. Добро пожаловать в Дом знаний. During the webinar, you are free to ask any questions on the topic of the webinar, of course, and I'll give you answers during this or the following webinar. You must write your questions in the comments. I'm going to ask you some questions too, so be ready. Before we start, check the sound, the picture. I think everything is okay and we are ready to start. As you have watched our video lessons and asked us some questions, I've prepared answers to some common questions on the topic. The topic of our webinar is fears and phobias. Сегодня мы разберем наиболее частые задаваемые вопросы учащимися по теме страхи и фобии. What actually is fear? A fear is one of the most basic human emotions. It is programmed into the nervous system and works like an instinct. From the time we are children, we are equipped with the survival instincts necessary to respond with fear when we sense danger or feel unsafe. Fear helps to protect us. It makes us alert to danger and prepares us to deal with it. Feeling afraid is very natural and helpful in some situations. Fear can be like a warning, a signal that cautions us to be careful. Like all emotions, fear can be mild, medium, or intense, depending on the situation and the person. A feeling of fear can be brief or it can last longer. How does fear work? When we sense danger, the brain reacts instantly, sending signals that activate the nervous system. This causes physical responses such as a faster heartbeat, rapid breathing, and an increase in blood pressure. Blood pumps to muscle groups to prepare the body for physical actions such as running or fighting. Skin sweats to keep the body cool. Some people might notice sensations in the stomach, head, chest, legs, or hands. These physical sensations of fear can be mild or strong. This response is known as flight or fight or fight or flight because that is exactly what the body is preparing itself to do. Fight off the danger or run fast to get away. The body stays in this state of fight-flight until the brain receives an all-clear message and turns off the response. What kind of fears do people have? Fear is the word we use to describe our emotional reaction to something that seems dangerous. But the word fear is used in another way too, to name something a person often feels afraid of. People fear things or situations that make them feel unsafe or unsure. For instance, someone who isn't a strong swimmer might have a fear of deep water. In this case, the fear is helpful because it helps the person to stay safe. Someone could overcome this fear by learning how to swim safely. A fear can be healthy if it helps a person to stay safe around something that could be dangerous, but sometimes a fear is unnecessary and causes more caution than the situation calls for. Many people have a fear of public speaking, whether it's giving a report in class, speaking in an assembly, or reciting lines in the school play. Speaking in front of others is one of the most common fears people have. People tend to avoid the situations or things they fear, but this doesn't help them overcome fear. In fact, it can be the reverse. Avoiding some scary reinforces a fear and keeps it strong. And you can see some types or kinds of fears. Fear of failure, fear of judgment, of success, of speaking, as we have said just before. Fear of not being able to make a living, fear of rejection, of losing everything, fear of people and public places, and many, many others. And, my friends, do you have any kind of fear? Well, what fears do people have during childhood? Certain certain fears are normal during childhood. That's because fear can be a natural reaction to feeling unsure and vulnerable, and much of what children experience is new and unfamiliar. Young children often have fears of the dark, being alone, strangers, and monsters or other scary imaginary creatures. School-aged children might be afraid when it's stormy or at a first sleepover. As they grow and learn, with the support of adults, of course, most children are able to slowly conquer these fears and outgrow them. Some children are more sensitive to fears and may have a tough time overcoming them. When fear when fears last beyond the expected age, it might be a sign that someone is overly fearful, worried, or anxious. People whose fears are too intense or last too long might need help and support to overcome them. And what is phobia? A phobia is an intense fear reaction to a particular thing or situation. With a phobia, the fear is out of proportion to the potential danger. But to the person with the phobia, the danger feels real because the fear is so very strong. Phobias cause people to worry about, dread, feel upset by, and avoid the things or situations they fear because the physical sensations of fear can be so intense. So having a phobia can interfere with normal activities. A person with a phobia of dogs might feel afraid to walk to school in case he or she sees a dog on the way. Someone with an elevator phobia might avoid a field trip if it involves going on an elevator. A girl with a phobia of thunderstorms might be afraid to go to school if the weather forecast predicts a storm. She might feel terrible distress and fear when the sky turns cloudy. A boy with social phobia experiences intense fear of public speaking or interacting, and may be afraid to answer questions in class, give a report, or speak to classmates in the lunchroom. It can be exhausting and upsetting to feel the intense fear that goes with having a phobia. It can be disappointing to miss out on opportunities because fear is holding you back. And it can be confusing and embarrassing to feel afraid of things that others seem to have no problem with. Sometimes people get teased about their fears, even if the person doing the teasing doesn't mean to be unkind and unfair. Teasing only makes the situation worse. Well, my friends, and how do you think? Is phobia just a sudden emotion of fear or anxiety disorder? Well, a phobia is anxiety disorder. And I think you have heard a lot about different types of phobias. Let me tell you about some of them. You can see these types of phobias on the screen. Страхи и фобии. Вы можете увидеть тип фобий на экране. Well, agoraphobia is fear of being in crowded places or open spaces. Agoraphobia. Next, claustrophobia is a fear of being in enclosed spaces. Claustrophobia. Aviophobia. Aviophobia, I think it's clear, is a fear of flying. Acrophobia. Acrophobia is a fear of heights. страх перед высотой. Brontophobia. Brontophobia is the fear of thunder and landing. Brontophobia– это страх перед громом и молнией. Arachnophobia is a fear of spiders. Arachnophobia– это страх перед пауками. Mesophobia is a fear of being contaminated. Or we can say is the fear of dirt. Мезофобия– это страх перед тем, чтобы быть запачканным, стать грязным. Next, xenophobia. Xenophobia is a fear of strangers. Xenophobia– это страх перед незнакомыми людьми. Это может быть выражение типа расизма. So, when people face fears or phobias, they react differently. Some people scream loudly, кричат громко. Shake like a leaf, трясутся от страха. Fight their fears, борются со страхами. Heart beats faster, сердце бьется быстрее. Fears come true, страхи становятся реальностью. As a result of fears and phobias, people have such feeling as. В результате страхов и фобий у людей возникает следующее. Sadness, depression, печаль, депрессия. Embarrassment, смущение. Anger, злость. Jealousy, зависть. Happiness, joy, счастье, радость. Dear pupils, we use some idioms in English to describe different emotions. Поговорим немножко об идиомах, которые описывают эмоции в английском языке. Butterflies in one's stomach. Волноваться, душа замирает, мурашки по спине. Scared to death. Напуган до смерти. Go bright red. Краснеть от смущения. Green within eye. Позеленеть от зависти. Long face. Унылый вид. Кислая физиономия. Over the moon. На седьмом небе. Through the roof. Сильно разозлиться, разгорячиться, потерять самообладание. Ребята, я попрошу вас составить предложение с данными идиомами. Well, our webinar is over. In conclusion of our webinar, I'd like you to know that the hardest part of overcoming a phobia or a fear is getting started. Once a person decides to go for it and gets the right coaching and support, it can be surprisingly how quickly they can melt away. Thank you for your attention. Goodbye.